two, one.
Hey guys, this is Dr. Nam Phan. I'm here on the Marcus Deegan show.
The Marcus Deegan Show. Hey, yo, what's the story, guys? Welcome to another episode of the podcast. Thanks for jumping back on my channel. This is Marcus Deegan, your host, shooting from the amazing and world-famous Sticky Paws Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada, right next door to the UFC Apex. So if I want to go over there and kick any ass, I can do it. That's a lie, as you know. Thanks once again for joining us. Make sure if you're watching us on YouTube that you let everybody know about this channel. We're trying to build the YouTube channel up. We appreciate all the Spotify followers, listeners, and the 5-star reviews. And we're killing it on social media. So thank you very much for coming back once again. Today we got another epic podcast. We got a local businessman in the building. You know, I like to talk to people that are businessmen, that have businesses here in Las Vegas, that are part of the community. Our first guest today is one of the new partners of the Marcus Deegan Show. We got a lot of business coming up with this man. We're going to be talking about what he does. We're going to be talking about what he's going to do to me. Don't get weird. Don't get freaky. It's not what you think. Welcome to the podcast, Dr. Nam Phan. How are you, brother?
Good. Thank you so much for having me here. I really appreciate it.
Have you done a podcast before?
No. This is actually my first time.
So I bet it's not as nerve-wracking as going into surgery.
It is nerve-wracking when you do hundreds of surgery, thousands of surgeries a year. You know, it's so natural.
Is there ever a time now where you get nervous before you do your work, ever? Like, say, if it was someone like the Queen or something like that?
I think the most nervous I get is when I work on family members. I would say everybody says do not work on family. And, you know, my wife is probably the one that I'm most nervous because she's very selective on the doctors that she uses, and it's just always nerve-wracking because you never want to have a problem, and oftentimes it's always family members that are the ones that give you the biggest problems.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because when I used to perform in the show, I never got nervous performing unless like there was family members in the audience. And then when there was family members in the audience, I was absolutely shitting myself. So yeah, no, that's interesting that you say that. So let's just go back a little bit and just tell me a little bit about your background and kind of how you came to Las Vegas and just a little bit about what you do, because what you do is pretty spectacular. We've had a few conversations. We're going to get into that. Just a bit of background, where you started and what you do.
Sure. So basically my story is, you know, I was born and raised in Boston. I went to dental school, Boston University. And it was sort of funny. I was very involved in volleyball. And at that time, I had a mentor. His name's Dr. Francis Tom and Dr. Goon. And at that time, I was thinking about going to med school. And these guys were just like, hey, why don't you think about dentistry? It's less time. You can get through school much quicker. And, you know, you can actually go into surgery and start doing surgeries in 4 years. And at that time, dentists were actually making more money than doctors and working and doing it in a less number of years. But basically, you know, I got through dental school and I decided to move out West Coast, California, with a close friend of mine who now is a root canal specialist. But, you know, my parents never let me leave Boston. You know, it was always my dream to come out to California.
Why didn't your parents let you? Just those strict Asian parents?
Strict Asian.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to go to UCLA. I applied and so forth, but you know, I had to stay in Boston because you know they wouldn't let me leave. But finally, you know, when I graduated, it's sort of funny. It was actually the first time that my dad actually hugged me and was like really proud of me. And once I got that doctorate degree, and I think finally he was like, okay, now he's a man. Now he's made us proud. Go off and, you know.
Is that typical of Asian fathers, do you think?
No.
Or your culture?
For typically in Asian culture, it's there's no emotion. And you're raised to basically be a successful doctor, a lawyer, something in the profession. And so it's very straight to the point. Do your studies. Don't play sports. Focus on your studies. Get straight A's. And that's the route that is going to make you successful.
Well, it speaks for itself. Statistically, here in the United States, Asians are more successful. Probably the most successful. Goes back to background, right, and how you brought up, and those fundamentals that your parents drill into you that you probably hate growing up, right? But now you think about it and go, actually, they were right.
Yeah. I mean, it was pretty insane. I mean, I don't remember ever having a birthday party.
Really?
Yeah, because my parents were too busy working to, throw me parties. They never went to any of my sport events. And, as you get older, you realize, they didn't have time because they were too busy making money to put food on the table.
Yeah.
So
now, what heritage are you guys?
I'm Vietnamese.
Vietnamese.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's sort of funny. I have an older brother. His name is Viet, and my name is Nam. So it's like, yeah. I get all those jokes all the time. Yeah.
That is awesome. Your parents definitely planned that.
Yeah. And everybody's like, oh no, it was my accent. People come up to me like, hey, how they come? Oh,
that's so funny.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very funny. But yeah, they have tremendous pride.
Yeah. Did you cop a lot of shit when you were growing up for that name?
Oh, all the time.
So like growing up, were you around a lot of other Asian kids growing up, or were you like one of the only ones in your school?
No, yeah, we had a few Asians, but it was predominantly Caucasian.
Yeah. So you copped a lot of bullying,
tons of shit for it. But you certainly realize, whatever, and you just you just move on from it. But I remember we would get off the bus and the kids would just chase us and be like, Vietnam, and it was crazy times.
Yeah, I grew up with a lot of Vietnamese mates because, as you know, Vietnam is quite close to Australia. It's not that far away. So a lot of Vietnamese people immigrated to Australia back in the early 70s, actually. So I had a lot of Vietnamese friends growing up, so I do know the culture. And I know what you mean about that, because my mates that were Vietnamese were never allowed to go out, were never allowed to sleep over, and we were never allowed to go to their house either. You had to wait out the front. So I know what you mean.
And it's very funny speaking to other people Vietnamese descent, because we all have gone through it. We've all had parents that never hugged us and never said, I love you. And it's something that I've recently learned that, now that I have a wife and 2 kids, like it's tough for me to say I love you to my kids.
Okay, so that was going to be my segue into the next question. Did your dad drip into you there, and now you're doing the same things that he was doing?
No, because I've had a lot of therapy.
Right.
And
I've had none. That's why I take magic mushrooms to help me with my fucked up brain.
Yeah. You figured it all out.
Yeah.
But no, what you learn is you have to break the cycle.
Yep.
Or else my son and my daughter may be doomed to repeat it.
And how old are they?
My daughter Harper is 7 years old, and my son Bronson is 8 months.
Oh, you just had a newie.
Yes.
Nice. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Congratulations. It's every man's dream to have a little boy and a little girl and a beautiful wife and a great business. So it looks like in that part of your life, you're just killing it, right? Because your business is doing good.
Yes. I have a lot of business opportunities here, a few partners. I still travel to New York and New Jersey.
What do you do there?
I am basically a surgeon there. So I come in, they have patients lined up, and I just do all the surgeries.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
So it's pretty, it's good and bad. It's good because I really maximize my time there. It's very efficient because I will travel to 6 to 8 dental offices. So they literally pack up all those patients. And I have such great support that when I leave, that patients are taken care of. And it's just phenomenal for me. It's so
this is
efficient.
outside of your actual business
in Las Vegas.
in Las Vegas.
Correct.
So you get hired to actually go out and do specialized surgeries on other people?
Correct.
Wow. That's
Correct.
And how did that come about?
Well, when I moved to New York in 2015 when I got into an anesthesia residency. And after that residency, I stayed around and I just started networking and came to all these offices. And basically, I was sort of their experienced surgeon. And I started taking on more cases, and then I started doing more difficult. And eventually, I was able to brand myself. And now I have a lot of patients through referrals that continue to go through.
So it's about branding. I'm glad that you mentioned that word, branding. A lot of people need to know what that means, and that's establishing yourself as not only as what you do as a profession, but as a name. Dr. Nam Phan is the people that need to know that branded name. Now, are you special? What is your specialty? Is there one specialty?
My expertise is I mostly do anesthesia. I put people to sleep. And then I also do oral surgery, which involves taking out teeth, wisdom teeth, or any teeth that are basically no longer good. And then what I'll do is I'll replace those teeth with implants. And then I'll restore people's smiles.
Now, you mentioned a couple of things to me that I had never heard of. You talked about, I can't remember what the word was, recessing the gum?
Recession, yes. So what recession is basically when you have gum disease, and what happens is the bone shrinks and the gums shrink with it.
Right.
So what happens is that now your root surfaces are exposed. And that's what the meaning of recession means.
So can you tell me, do you have a horror story that you opened someone's mouth and just went, what the fuck has been going on in there?
You know,
does it ever get to that extreme with you?
I see it all the time, but I never judge people because you never know where people come from, right? We all have different backgrounds in life. For example, the reason why I got into dentistry was because when I was young and we were on Medicaid, I had a tooth that was bad and they just recommended to just pull it. I never got options of, maybe doing a filling or maybe doing a root canal or something. And so was I judged based on my background because I have Medicaid on my insurance card? Maybe my whole life would have been different. But when people come in, I never judge.
I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that you said that because I'm sure that a lot of people don't go to the dentist out of pure embarrassment. And the fact that you said that you don't judge someone is comforting because people need to know that that's what you do, right? Because I'm not going to lie, when I went to see you, I was embarrassed myself at the condition that I had let my teeth get to. So I can understand what you mean by, you can't judge people because they already have that stigma going into the dentist, right? Do you find that a lot?
I find it all the time. And it takes a lot of courage to come in and say, hey, I want to change my life. I want to fix my smile. I want to feel good. I want people to look at me and not laugh. I want to be able to eat my foods, So when you go back to that one case, I mean, I've seen kids, 18 years old, heroin, meth addicts, and just all their teeth just bombed out, and their dad's
that quickly.
And I've had 18-year-olds where I've had to take out all their teeth and put dentures in.
Wow. When you say dentures, that's just like the old school dentures that just
correct. The ones that go in and out. And it's very tough on them mentally. And seeing the father, the worst is when you see the parents. And then the parents are like, Doc, I don't know what I did. I tried my best as a father. And
so you got to add psychologist a little bit to that role too, right?
It's super tough.
Like I remember you were telling me when I came in for my consultation that you had to stop doing it was very hard for you to doing kids without any kind of gas or because the parents couldn't afford the anesthesia.
Correct.
So you had to go in there, and it was traumatizing not only for them but for you as well. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So early in my career, I used to work on kids. And majority of the kids where I'm doing a lot of dentistry are basically Medicaid, because kids that are from higher higher class or affluent
Families, yeah.
families, they tend to not have these issues of cavities because they're, the nutrition's good. They're going frequently, and it seems for the most part when I'm working in these Medicaid offices, multiple cavities, gum problems. So what happens? We literally need to tie them down on this papoose board, which basically you're tying the kids down and then you're coming and numbing them up and then treating or removing the decay and replacing those fillings. And it's very traumatizing. And it got to a point where I was in these offices and I would see like 30 or 40 kids and literally all day screaming. Everybody's screaming. And literally you don't have time to really sit with the patients, and they're already tied down. You are on a time schedule. And these companies and these dental offices are pushing you production. We got to get it quick, tie them down, because they can't, because a lot of these families, they couldn't afford to bring them to the oral surgery, be put out completely, and do it the right way and comfortable. So what happens? These kids end up growing up having dental fear.
Yep.
And it's very sad.
So what's like the new way of dentistry now is that you put your patients to sleep?
I mean, it's always been around, but at the end of the day, it comes down to finances. Because to be put under, you need the cost of the anesthesiologist, and then the cost of the time for the oral surgery room. Because whenever you're putting patients down in an oral surgery setting, there's always a chance of death. So that's why you don't really rush things, and you're taking your time, and there's allotted time for these patients. You're not rushing through. You're not seeing 40 patients a day. You're seeing one patient every 2 hours, 1 hour, whatever.
So, for example, you've given me a pretty extensive list of things that I have to get done, and you even said to me that you could probably do it in one session.
Yes.
Which sounds utterly terrifying, but I'm leaving. I do trust you, so
Yes.
I'm happy about that side of it. Now, you said to me you're going to give me something I'm not even going to remember. Can you explain what the process is and maybe just talk about a couple of things that I have to get done that are...
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Depending on the office that we're going to, we have a lot of options of sedation. One of the routes is you can take this pill that's called triazolam. And what that basically does is it helps calm you down, and it also helps cause retrograde amnesia, which basically means that you may be talking to me, but afterwards you won't remember.
Really?
Yes.
I've never heard of that.
Yes.
I think I've been taking them every day because I can't. Yeah, go on.
Yeah. And then there's another liquid that we can give to you while you're there. It's midazolam hydrochloride. And basically, we pour it into a little cup and you just drink it. And then we wait a certain amount of time. Now, the first route is a pill. The problem with the pill, we don't know when you're going to fall asleep. That's the problem. So it's like, we may have to give you 4 pills. We may have to give you 8 pills. We don't know. So it's a waiting game. The liquid is a little bit better. We have a little bit shorter time before you can fall asleep. The next best route is called IV sedation, moderate sedation, where we basically put an IV in, and then we give you medication.
How do you keep the mouth open during that?
We have props.
Oh, okay. So you actually have something in there.
Yeah.
I mean, that may sound like a stupid question to you guys out there, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, when you're totally out, how do they keep the mouth open? There's like these little props that go in the back there.
Correct. And also, typically we'll put little things over your legs to basically help your blood flow going as well. And we'll put straps on so your arms don't fall off. Yeah. So.
For something like for instance, I'm just referring back to me here just as an example so people know, I'm going to get a bunch of work done by Dr. Phan, extensive work because, I partied back a lot in my younger days, in my 20s and 30s. It was ecstasy and speed, into the early, 35 into 40s, it was cocaine. thank God I'm clean and sober now and have been for many, many years. But I didn't realize the detriment that taking those drugs has on the teeth. You kind of touched on it with heroin, but also with any kind of amphetamines does mess up the teeth as well. And I'm finding now in life is now it's affected me now. Didn't affect me back then when I was taking it.
Sure.
It's later on in life. Is that normally what happens?
Yes, because as we get older, we develop more problems. We tend to develop, we gain weight. We have issues with sugars. Diabetes comes into there, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So all these things they add to the issues, and then also we don't heal as well. As we get older, our bodies change. And so a lot of times these medications, these side effects of these medications, they'll cause our mouths to be dry. And what does that mean? We don't produce enough saliva, so now we can't buffer the acid that's in our mouth. So the acids basically destroy our teeth.
Hence the reason why me being on antidepressants for the last 20 years has affected my bone growth. Hence the reason why you're going to have to put a cadaver bone in my mouth there, Dr. Phan.
That is one of the options.
Okay,
there are many options.
Is there another option apart from the cadaver? Because
we could do a second surgery where we can harvest bone from your hip or your chin or we could take out some ribs if
this
you
is
want.
sounding worse as it goes along.
Yeah.
Okay, no, the reason why I asked, because we kind of touched on this earlier on, and it was really fascinating to me. Like, you told me that you have harvested organs from people that are clinically passed away.
Correct.
For for someone that needs a kidney or a
Correct.
liver or something.
Correct.
And you mentioned to me that you think that the soul or an essence of the soul
100%.
can travel with that part of the body that you put into someone else?
Yes. That's just sort of my own belief. I actually, same thing with blood transfusions. Because when you're getting something from somebody else, I feel like there's an essence of them.
Yep.
And back when you had mentioned, when I was in my anesthesia residency and somebody would pass, and when they would harvest organs, a lot of times, when they go into the new bodies, people claim that, they feel different. And maybe it's because they now have a functioning liver, maybe they now have a functioning kidney, but you never know.
How can something that is infused with DNA from someone else, and then it's got to have an effect on someone else? Like, I truly believe it. Like, you can feel the essence of someone in the room when they've left, right?
Yeah.
You can, like, even if someone's died, you can still kind of feel their essence or their vibe. It's got to be the same with heart. Now that's another thing. So let's get down to what you do. You're a dentist. You're a would you say a facial surgeon as well? Because you talked about doing my sinuses.
What I do is I do a lot of facial cosmetics now, including Botox, derma fillers. Now I'm getting into skin rejuvenation. Microneedling and then drawing blood and then putting PRP on the face.
Right.
Stuff like that. But in regards to sinus, that's just something I learned through oral surgery.
And where do you do it through?
So basically what a sinus is basically an empty space up in this area. And in order for an implant to be successful, what you need is you need width and you need height. If you don't have enough height, what you have to do in this back region is you have to basically put additional bone and basically push up this sinus and place a longer size implant.
That seems like a lot of work, and that's what you're going to have to do with me, unfortunately, right?
Yes. That is the best route for you.
And that's due to the lack of bone for the implant to be placed in, correct?
The height.
The height.
Correct.
So the bone is there, it's just very small.
Correct. It's very low. Again, you need height and you need width.
Right.
Oftentimes, you can place a shorter size implant and a thicker implant, but the best success is statistically is when we place longer implants and wider implants.
It sounds like it's going to be a lot of pain afterwards. Am I going to be in a serious state?
It all depends.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Everybody's pain tolerance.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a
different.
pussy when it comes to pain. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so.
Well, if that's the case, we'll always prescribe antibiotics, a steroid, and some anti-inflammatory meds.
Yep.
And opioids if you need.
Yep. I'll
So-
definitely 100% need those. So you also, I just like how you got your finger in a lot of pies. Like I look on your Instagram and I just see you with everybody. You've nearly met as many celebrities as I've met. So
Yeah.
I'm just going back on your Instagram right now and I'm just going to rack out a few of these names here, and then you can just tell me, you know, a little bit of story about. So first of all, when I look on your Instagram, I see you with so let's, for instance, you got Nate Diaz right here. What's that story about? Have you worked on Nate? You just ran
Nate
into,
Diaz.
yeah.
So it's sort of funny. I was out on a dinner with my friend Juan Carlos, and Juan Carlos owns a few dental offices with a few partners, and he was friends with Nate, and he bought him a bottle of wine, and then Nate came over, and we all, shook hands.
Nice.
And one of the greatest things being in Vegas is that everybody's around, and I think this was either before, like a little bit before or after he fought Conor McGregor, so he was just eating it up, and he was,
What a time that was.
it was so fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just come across celebrities everywhere.
Is that how you get all these photo ops with these guys? You just run into them, or you work on them? They're just
both.
around, and just the people that you know, right?
Yeah, it's such a small community.
It is.
And the thing is that there's nothing like Las Vegas.
Nah,
there's
isn't.
there's so many events going on, and you just have so many opportunities to meet these phenomenal celebrities that have impacted your life or have entertained you, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and it's great when you get that. You get that acknowledgement from these people, because it always feels good. And I see you got Andre Agassi over there, and he's one of the greatest tennis players of all time, right?
Oh yeah, I met him outside of my dental office.
Yeah.
And he was with Steffi Graf.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I asked if I could have a photo with Steffi. She,
Yeah.
No.
Oh, she wouldn't take a photo?
No, she's
Very private.
Very private.
Yeah.
And, respected.
Yeah.
Andre, and Andre's done a lot of great stuff here. I was an avid tennis player.
Oh well, the Asians once again. Not just going back. The Asians love their tennis, and they're really good at it as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So I see that you're taking care of the mob wife here, Trap Daddy's.
Yes.
What a story that is. What a heartbreaking story that is.
Yes.
Broke my heart. I was happy to see you with a picture with her, and I had Trap Daddy on the podcast, and we discussed it, and yeah, what a pillar of strength that couple is.
Yeah. Definitely heartbreaking, and she wanted to sort of change her life, and we're in talks right now, and I really want to help her out.
Yeah.
And one of the things is that with Trap Daddy, he recently had a foundation for his daughter
Yes.
that had passed away, and I'm actually working with him, and I've asked you as well to come out and give the support.
100%.
And I think it's just a phenomenal cause, and the story just literally broke my heart.
It broke my heart, but then what really amazed me about it was his how he pushed through it and his mental strength after the fact. I would be I would fall apart. Like I can't even comprehend what that would feel like to lose a child, and then to find out that your wife has a terminally ill disease, which is so ironic, because the disease that she has is the same thing that my father passed away from only a couple of years ago as well. Is exactly the same thing that she has, the hypertension. Can't remember the correct name of it right now.
It's like idiopathic.
Yeah.
One of the rarest diseases.
Very rare.
Very rare.
Yeah. So I was just blown away by his mental strength, which is I'm always fascinated by the mind.
Yeah.
And how people can push through adversity and in some of the toughest times in their life. And that's why I loved having him on here, because these kind of podcasts, they can show other people, like, fucking look at this guy. He's his wife's dying, his little girl just died, but he's pushed through and he's doing okay, because that's all you can do, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you put your faith in something, and you do the best you can.
Yep.
And what he, through tragedy, he set up this foundation where he doesn't want other people to go through what he went through, which is one of the most selfless things that you can do. You had, and now he's wants to help other people that are going through these problems. How can we help other people?
And that's also how you heal.
Yeah.
Is by helping others. And people don't realize that, but it's
yeah.
the circle of yin and yang, and what goes around comes around, karma, and, you know, the way you do to others. I completely believe in that. It's 100% how I live my life.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you got on board with those guys because, they really deserve it. So you're a big fight fan as well, right?
Oh, yeah, huge.
Power slap as well?
Power slap. I just got into power slap. It's coming to town. Hopefully, you know, I've reached out to a few fighters, and hopefully I can help them with their mouth guards and get them something.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, it's a very difficult profession, and everything that you can help them with will just relieve the financial burden.
So I know a lot of them train with the jaw size, is it called?
Yep.
There's a back one, and there's also a
That's
front
the front
one.
Yeah.
I suppose the only, and I've had this discussion a million times, the only defense of power slap really is mindset and maybe having a good jaw and strong neck muscles.
Yes.
The jaw would have a lot to do with it, right? Because you've seen it. It's pretty brutal.
It's pretty brutal. When we talk about CTE, issues with basically head traumas through like football and collisions and so forth, a majority of the trauma comes when the teeth and the mouth is not stable. So when it's not stable, it can literally snap, and then that can cause these issues. So having a good proper mouthpiece, having good muscles to support that movement is one way to at least reduce the damage that is caused from that sport.
I remember Ronda Rousey saying when that first kick in the face from Holly Holm, she felt all of her bottom teeth move.
Yeah.
They just all got loose in her head. Have you worked on any fighters, or is that kind of the avenue you're going down, or is it just anyone?
I will help anybody
Yeah.
that comes to me and says that they need help. So in regards to seeing those type of cases, I've seen a lot, but with those type of severity, it's sort of beyond my realm. So I give it to my partners that are much more experienced.
Right.
In the field of dentistry and medicine, it's very important to know what you're good at.
So there's a bunch of different fields in dentistry, right?
Correct. And for me, I would want them to make sure that they get the best work possible from the best physician. So if it's something that I'm not comfortable in doing, then I will send it to my colleagues who I know would better take care of it.
So, you know, you've come on board. You and I are going to have a partnership going on here. You know, I'm happy to talk about everything that you've got going on, and hopefully we can do some fundraiser work together, not only with Trap Daddy or anything else that you've got coming. Yeah. Let's just talk about this a little bit because just let everybody know what this is about.
Yeah, this is pretty fun. It's called Crocodile Dentist, and I went to this anesthesia renewal course, and this other doctor had recommended giving this to the kids. And it falls back with the pediatric kids that have had trauma in the past. And a lot of times when kids have trauma, they don't want to go to the dentist. So what I've done is I work with Winning Games, Winning Moves gaming company. And they've allowed me to purchase these and basically spread the word.
Nice.
And when I give these out, it's pretty amazing because the kids, they'll play, they'll slap it, they'll punch the teeth, and I feel that they're a little bit more comfortable with the dentist. Because a lot of people have dental fear, even adults. When I give them these, it's like...
Yes, I'm going to admit, it did make me a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. And it's just something great that you can give.
Well, it seems that you have a very your philosophy on life is to help people as well, and I really respect that, and I really like it because you know, dentists can be expensive,
Yes.
right? If people don't have insurance, it can be expensive. And I'm sure that, there's many dentists around there that charge way more than they're supposed to. And it's good to see that it's not just about the money for you, is it?
No. It's
By the way, which you deserve
Yeah.
because of all of your hard work that you've gone through with school and,
Correct.
so you deserve it. Don't get me wrong. You deserve that.
Yeah.
But it's not about that, is it?
it's coming out of dental school and being in $500,000 in debt, you work thinking you need the money. You do things that you wouldn't necessarily do because you have those loans.
Nothing to do with penises, though, right? I just thought I'd get that out of the way.
But I've been fortunate to have really good mentors that have taught me along the way that when you take care of other people, they'll take care of you.
Yeah.
And money is not everything. When you a lot of times we feel like we have to chase money and chase status or chase something in order to feel important. And at the end of the day, it's the friends and families and the lives that we've changed. So for me, my mentor taught me that whenever you chase the money, it's never going to get there. Take care of people. Build a patient-doctor relation. When you go to a dentist, you want to go to somebody that treats them the way that you want to be treated, right? How do you pick your dentist? You pick your dentist by who you trust, who you vibe with, their energy. Do they act the way that you want them to act? Are they nice to other people? Are they giving to other people? Because sometimes you can go into an office and you feel like you're in a factory.
Like a cattle call, yeah.
They're just shuttling you. They come in, patient 40. Okay, you need this, 5,000, 10,000, 20. And that's sort of what we're missing in dentistry.
Yes, I agree.
And it's funny. I used to teach at UNLV in the oral surgery department, and I would always talk to these students. And I would ask them, what did you say when you were applying and interviewing to get into dental school? Most of you said, I want to change the world. I want to give back. I want to help everybody. But then once you get in, right? And then now you're seeing all that money that you're making. Where's the give back? How are you guys really giving back? Are you guys going on mission trips? Are you guys going third world countries helping out poor people? Or are you taking 3 days and, 4 days of vacation? And because you have a phenomenal practice or a good, job. People ask me, Dr. Phan, why do you still go to Medicaid offices and work on Medicaid? And I tell them, I took an oath. I took an oath that I would help people. And it's not about the money. Because I can go to Manhattan like I do, work on 5 patients, make as much as working on 30 or 40 patients in Medicaid offices. But why do I do it? Because I took an oath. And I said I would help people. And that's where my passion is.
Yeah. And that's why you're successful, and that's why you are going to have continued success, because it's those details that you just mentioned right then is what people want, is what the heart wants. And when you're in such an intimate setting as being with the dentist, which, I think the only thing more intimate than that's a gynecologist, but I think, both ends can get a bit whiffy. I'd rather be up there on the mouth. But I'm really, really glad that you say that. And it makes me like you even more than I already do, because that just shows that, when it's not about the money, that means something to me. It can't always be about the money. I do appreciate that. And it's about living in the moment. And one way that I've found about living in the moment, and this is going to be a little segue into our sponsor, is that, I lived in the past a lot. I fretted about the future. I needed to live in the moment. And I'm going to tell you something right now. And not only just because they're the sponsor of this episode, but just because it's really, really helped me with psilocybin and microdosing. I have found that it has helped me be present in the moment. It's helped me to look more vividly and have a little bit more focus and energy when it comes to doing certain things in my life. I've always enjoyed podcasting. I love it. I love talking to people. When you microdose, you kind of get enthralled with the conversation a lot more. And I don't know if it's enthralled is the right word, maybe more focused. So you're more engaged and you're more into it. So guys, as far as I'm concerned, these guys are the number one mushroom infused products on the market. The chews, the chocolate, you've got the capsules, Muse, open your eyes to a more vivid life. In my bio, in my Instagram, jump on there for a 10% discount, Muse, and the packaging is unbelievable. They've got the capsules and they've got the chocolate. Do you mess with this, Doc?
I've never seen this brand before.
Yeah.
And I've started doing my research into mushrooms, and I do take some. And I find that I'm getting more epiphanies.
Well, I'm going to definitely hook you up with some of the products here from Muse, and just so you can, just test them out. And as far as, if it works for you, it does. And I know I've found that it's worked for me, and that's why I like to spread the news about this because, I don't know, I think maybe instead of taking an antidepressant, a couple of mushroom chews does the same thing, right?
Definitely. I think that when you're able to focus more and you see more positivity in life,
that's true.
It's one way of getting out of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times with these other medications, we don't know the side effects. So it's better to get something natural or close to natural.
Yeah. So what I like to do is, man, when I kind of finish up these chats that I have, I always ask this of my guests right at the end. And sometimes they can answer it.
Yeah.
And sometimes they can't. Dr. Phan, what is your message?
I think my biggest message is that I've been put on this earth to help as many people as possible. And a lot of times I sacrifice myself, my well-being for other people. And it takes a lot of courage to ask for help. It takes a lot of courage to go to the dental office. And at the end of the day, we have a lot of support out there. And if you're struggling in anything, there's support everywhere. Mental health, dental, cancer. Find those support groups. I'm here. If you have any questions for me, if I can't answer it, I'll help and, find the right person that can help you out. But my biggest message is, if you have an issue, don't do it alone. Get the help.
Get the help. Get the help. I love it. I love these little messages that I get. Brother, I'm very, very happy about our collaboration.
Yeah.
We're going to document the process, okay? Not only are we going to document the work, I'm going to document the up lead to it and then afterwards in the recovery process. Pretty much everything goes along with it. So you can see exactly what goes down so you can maybe drop that fear. We're going to have all of Dr. Phan's information in the description underneath the podcast here. Also, if you go to the link in my bio on Instagram, you'll be able to find out exactly where these guys are. Dr. Phan?
Thank you so much.
Now, hang on, is it Phan or Phan?
Either or.
What is it mostly?
I like fun.
Dr. Phan. Going to be Dr. Phan after a few of these. Dr. Phan, thank you so much, brother. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Guys, don't forget, I do appreciate you listening to me. And this journey of podcasting is so awesome. I get to sit down and talk to these amazing people and hear their stories. And this is just the beginning for the Marcus Deegan Show. We got a lot coming up this month, and not just this month, this year. Big thanks to my engineer, the big J over there, looking good with his afro today, very handsome. Sexual Chocolate, AKA, that's his name. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. This is Marcus Deegan for the Marcus Deegan Show podcast. We're out.